Hi guys, Dave Pinson here. Video for Jesus, Fool for Christ on a video. So on Video for Jesus. Please take the time. Here's what I want to say. What they always say on the videos I watch. You have no idea how much it helps us out when you like and subscribe our channel. Yeah, God's my algorithm, so I feel silly saying anything like that. So today I want to talk about life as a part-time job. It's something I talk about a lot, but it's worth repeating because I do repeat myself. I have a friend who says, I just can't stand that guy, that Sean Hannity, because he always repeats himself. I go, yeah, because people don't get it. He asks you, that's how it is. That's how it is. Why do you think the Bible says verily, verily, and then it repeats them? You can read a chapter, especially like a psalm, and it'll have the same thing in there like three times. It's like, oh, you know why? Because it's important. So this is important. And this happened. I had this thought, I had this notion before I was a Christian, because I knew that nobody lives forever. And so I just thought, well, life's a part-time job. And the reason I came up with that, now I probably didn't create that saying, but in my mind I did. I never heard anybody else say it. I still don't hear a lot of people say it. The reason I came up with that saying is to cope with life's problems, because it's like um, there's all this stuff happening and things are bad and people are stressed. I'm like, well, life's a part-time job. What does that mean? Well, when I became a Christian, I found out what that meant. But for me at that day, it just meant don't stress anything because it's all going to pass. 100 years from now, like someone used to say, this is something you hear. Well, 100 years from now, what's it going to matter? Whatever you're stressed about, whatever you're worried about, even a war or whatever, 100 years from now, what are people, right? So in the long run, and so in the long run, I guess you could say how you live that life is what matters. Because I'm getting ready to do a memorial service for my father. Well, I'm not getting. All right, let me misstate that. I'm not leading it. I'm not doing it. But I'm going to say my piece, and it's going to be some good stuff, some amazing stuff about his adventurous lifestyles, history, the good stuff, and then also a little bit about his salvation story and about how that works and how God loves God's love, because Jesus wants everyone to go with him to heaven, or we say to heaven. We'll talk about that someday. Jesus wants everyone to be with him in eternity, and so do I, especially my family. So pray for good outcomes on that. So anyway, life's a part-time job, and so what I would say, what I've discovered is eternity is not part-time, right? Because we always value these things, and people are always wanting comfort and fun and joy, and entertainment is the devil's substitute for the joy of the Lord, the Holy Spirit. It's a devil's substitute, and people crave it, and we crave it. I still do. I still like to watch my fantasy sci-fi movies and stuff here and there. It's not as much of an idol to me as it used to be, right? But people love it. On our flight over here to California, by the way, and I don't know if I said that. I'm in California now. So on our flight over here, I couldn't help it because it was silent in the aircraft, except there was a conversation right behind me, and the girl was talking about, oh, there's nothing to do in Las Vegas because she doesn't drink and she doesn't gamble. And she goes, well, there's nothing for me to do. It's why don't we don't have any entertainment. I have to go to L.A. to find any amusement parks or this and that and the other. There's no beaches there, and da 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 da. And the people need entertainment. We need it in the Philippines, and people need something to do. What about that place? Yeah, there's nothing to do there. It's like, and I thought that's how people are, and people live their life for entertainment and for like take your RV to the desert or take your boat to the river, and I'm not saying innately there's anything wrong in that, but that becomes your God, and that becomes your thing, and that becomes your life. And is it a bad life? Well, it's not a bad life, but how much value is it in eternity? How much value is it in reality, right? Because we can get our endorphins going and we can live our whole life like that. Like, oh, look at it. This guy's got such a good life. He has a boat and he goes here and he goes there and somebody that I know of has a boat over here in the river in the desert, has a place over here in a beach, and has another place up in the mountains. They have a couple pennies together, and because they love the active lifestyle. They always want to be in the boat. They want to be skiing. They want to be doing all this stuff. They want to be partying. They want their mind to be entertained, right? And that's fine. But I'll just tell you the story about the part-time life. Now I've told the story before recently, so I apologize if you've heard it before, but it bears repeating because it's a really good. I don't know where I got this idea. Nothing I have is original. I just grab it and I hang on to it and then I just keep it and I say this is mine. Somebody once said, "Well, if you can quote someone a couple of times and after that you can just claim it." That I don't think that's true if it's a historical person, but something you hear. So what I did when we did our first ministry, well, we did a Bible study, a couple Bible studies in the Philippines before, but when we went and did our vacation Bible school in where we live now, it was great. We had 3 days. I think it was 3 days, about 70 kids per day, same kids, and it wasn't like we had two, but we had over 200 kids. When you add up all the kids, and we had a youth study one night, and it was pretty cool. It was very cool. And one of the things we did during I did the Bible studies or the studies, the kids studies. Um, my wife did the games. They had all these games that they were doing, and then Miss Virginia did the crafts, and they all had helpers. Miss Virginia had Pastora with her, and then we had these young teenage girls with us, family and friends, and they were helping everybody do everything. And I did the lessons in this pretty big room. There's a pretty big room there at this resort, and it was pretty cool. So I had this one where I take this box, big box. It's like big box, like 3 feet bigger than that. Big box. And I'd say, "This is your life." And I'd have one of the kids get into it. We'd talk about how this is your life. And you can decorate it. You could have a really nice life. And it could be all those things we're talking about, all the excitement and fun and joy and the gold and the happiness and the like it says in Ecclesiastes. I did all this stuff. So, I'll talk about that for a second. All right. Well, let's leave the box over there. Ecclesiastes, the whole book of Ecclesiastes was Solomon wrote. It's one of the wisdom literature, and it's about how nothing in this world has value under the sun. He says, "No, I had all the money, I had all the women, I had all the stuff, I had all the knowledge, I had all the anything. He had so much stuff. You just read the book of Ecclesiastes, but he's got this phrase in there, under the sun." All is vanity under the sun. I had all this stuff. I had all this fun. I had this great full life. You would have thought hundreds of wives, this and that, and everything. You don't forget about 3 houses. He had 27. Forget about boats. He had giant yachts everywhere, and he had a swimming pool on his yacht. Whatever you could imagine, wealthiest man ever lived. And he goes, none of it mattered. It all left me empty inside. All is vanity under the sun. So what does that word under the sun mean? It means the sun without Jesus. It means under this. It means a natural life is a vain life. They say, well, yeah, but you can leave a legacy. Yeah, you'll leave a legacy. Everybody leaves a legacy. But how much value would that be to you? And how much value would that be in the world eventually? Now, I mean, we do have a few people, Napoleon and some of the Caesars. We have people that have lasted, their memory has lasted a long time. But how much value? And most of us are just that dash. And unless you walk by a gravestone, you don't know anybody that's been gone. So anyway, so that's Ecclesiastes, Solomon talking about how this life. He even says at one place, just like Job said, it's better not to even be born because you go through others and then you're still depressed. you know, that's why a lot of very wealthy people commit suicide and have like set. My wife couldn't believe that Elizabeth Taylor was married like 8 times. She goes, "Why is that?" I said, "Well, you look at the horrible endings of people like Michael Jackson, and they just they were never right in their heart." They may have been great entertainers. That's great, but in Elvis, they had this emptiness in them, right? Under the sun, living without God, really. Even if they could sing good gospel songs like Elvis, his lifestyle would belay the fact that he probably wasn't walking with the Lord because it's not what you say that counts. It's how you live your life. So anyway, so we take this box. The kids are in it. We talk about decorating it. It's beautiful. It's made out of gold. This is a gold. This guy's life is golden. Whatever he touches turns to gold. Everything's good or whatever. Or he's poor and his box is dirty and filthy and tiny and he has nothing. He's barely scraping by and every day is a tragedy, or he was sick all this time, whatever it was. This is your life, this box. And then I have him get out of the box. And I say, and at the end of your life, and I say, and over here, we have this thing called the lake of fire. Anybody who doesn't accept Jesus, anybody who let's put it in a better way, because a lot of people don't like it when you say that, but just want to be user friendly here. Anybody who refuses the love of God and doesn't want to join his family, who chooses not to join in to what God has provided for them, will be cast into the lake of fire. So I take the box, and I had a spot over here, and it was set up. And now that I'm thinking about it, if I ever do this again, I'm going to make some cardboard flames or something, and say, and then guess what? Guess what happens to your life? And I say, get thrown into the lake of fire. It's gone. And then they're all go, oh, just to think about it, all the things that you work for. Like somebody else once said, you work your life to get all this stuff, and you have all this stuff, and you have the perfect life, and you have the perfect retirement, you have everything you want, you have all these toys, and you're just living life, and this is great. And then you get to be like very old, and all of a sudden you start having this thing where there's something missing, and you realize that you put your ladder on the wrong wall. You've been climbing up this wall trying to get all this stuff, and whoever dies with the most stuff still dies. Well, I won the contest. Yeah, okay. And get back to the part-time job. And what I would tell the kids is, you could take any object. You could take a very small object, like this little box right here. Or you could just use it. You could even use a closet. Whatever you have there, you can use. Or you could talk about it. So let's say your life is this box right here. This is my life. This is my. Well, I'm already 70. So let's say I live to be 90. That's my goal. I don't know if God has the same goal. My wife says I'm not allowed to go. So as long as I live, this is your life, right? This box. I'd say this closet, or I'd say, that box was your life. And then I say, that box is your life. But then look out here at the ocean, guys. See how big it is? Look up at the sky at night, see all the stars. Look at the entire universe. That's like eternity. And this little box, this little closet, this little thing, that's your life. So, which one's more important? I go, well, I guess that one's a lot bigger. That's the real thing. So yeah, life is a part-time job, and we don't. I say we. It's probably not a good idea to focus so much on this little thing. And then, like Tozer says, we act like this is reality, and it is reality. If I run into the wall over there with my head, I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to bleed. If I jump off a cliff, I'm going to die. This is real. But you know what's even more real is eternity, the spiritual life, the eternal soul. So yeah, life's a part-time job, guys. So people talk about, are you ready? Are you ready for Jesus coming? Jesus coming? Are you ready? You ready? Well, I don't know if Jesus is coming like that. I have my own doubts about that personally, but he's coming for me. He's coming for you. He could come for you any day. I've had, unfortunately, in the last year, or it's been about a year, I've lost a few people in my life. One of them was as young as 70, up to 87. I mean, as young as 7, all the way up to the age of 87. So I've seen how short life can be. So think on that. Life's a part-time job, guys. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna live for? God bless you guys. Ta ta for now.